Hi, I'm Brant at Crocker Farm, and I wanted to talk to you about two pieces we'll be selling on March 3rd that I think present a pretty good opportunity to talk about presentation stoneware. Um, Presentation pieces are called presentation pieces. I guess it goes without saying, but they're called presentation pieces because they're presented as gifts, either by the potters themselves or by people who bought items from the potters for a friend or relative. These two pieces happen coincidentally to both be made for women or girls named Hannah. In this case, this small picture says Hannah Couch. And this slender jar says Hannah Powers. Now, these two pieces are also interesting because they give us an opportunity to talk about the diversity of stoneware made in Pennsylvania. This piece was made in the eastern part of Pennsylvania. It was probably made in Chester County outside, basically outside Philadelphia in that general area of Pennsylvania. This piece was made almost certainly in New Brighton, Pennsylvania, which is Beaver County, northwest of Pittsburgh, near Ohio. In Philadelphia and thereabouts, they were making stoneware pretty much in the Baltimore style. It was a lighter colored clay with bright blue designs, generally floral designs, kind of a take, usually a take on this sort of design where you have wings with flowers on the end, different flowering plants and things like that. In Western PA, they were making other sorts of things. Earlier on is a different story, but in general, they're mostly known for these sorts of pieces. As you can see, the names and also designs were often made using a stencil. Sometimes they were, the stencil designs were accompanied by freehand designs. As you see on this piece, this is a good example of a pretty standard, it's a nice example, but it gives you a good idea of what they were making in Western Pennsylvania. It was made by a pretty prolific pottery, Hamilton and Jones in Greensboro, Greene County. But it shows you that they were both stenciling and sometimes doing freehand designs. This is a particularly good blue and gray contrast for a piece from that area. A lot of pieces didn't turn out this well. They're often brown, almost black, blue, that sort of thing. And this was the style that southwestern Pennsylvania became known for. But some potters deviated from that somewhat, and Edwin Couch is one of those potters. He was, there's not much known about him, but he was clearly pretty talented at getting a good contrast between the gray and blue. And his pieces are made in kind of a more finer style that you almost would associate with pieces made in cities like Philadelphia, things like that. Edwin Couch, there's two pieces of his pictured in Phil Schaltenbrand's excellent book, Big Ware Turners, which is a survey of Pennsylvania stoneware. And he potted around 1860 in New Brighton, Pennsylvania, in Beaver County, as I said, northwest of Pittsburgh. The name Hannah Couch, I would say almost certainly refers to a family member of his. He did have some relatives that worked later in the century down in New Geneva, Pennsylvania, across the river from Greensboro. But the sort of pieces they would have been making were not these sorts of pieces. This belongs to an earlier era, and if you own Schaltenbrand's book, which if you don't, I suggest you do, if you look at the two pieces in there by Edwin Couch, the one, it's a sugar bowl, lidded sugar bowl, signed on the bottom, E. Couch. Another attributed to him, it's an eagle butter print. You'll see that both of them have the same kind of gray and blue contrast that this piece does. These two pieces, it's pretty easy to figure out what this is. This is like a cream pitcher. You would be, Hannah Couch would probably have used this to put cream in her tea or her coffee. something like that. This is a little more ambiguous. It's a jar. Hannah Powers could have put any number of things in it, but probably you know, jelly or some kind of pickled meats or things like that. Different kinds of foodstuffs. But yeah, these are just two very interesting examples of Pennsylvania stoneware that you know, coincidentally share the same first name, were made in very different parts of the state, but give us a pretty good opportunity to talk about the differences between East and Western Pennsylvania.